YouTube, what's going on? It's Juan Gotti here with yet another Washington football team video, and in today's video, we got some news about Marvin Jones Jr. and the Washington football team possibly interested in him. So without further ado, let's get straight into today's video. But before we do, make sure you guys go down below, leave a like on this video, subscribe if you're new, and turn on post notifications so you get notified when I upload a video about the NFL, in this case our Washington football team. And let's get straight into today's video. Roll the intro, baby. We are Washington. Let's get it.
We Washington, we Washington, we Washington, we Washington, man, we Washington.
Oh, a report came out and said that the Washington football team, or in this case multiple people, were interested in wide receiver Marvin Jones Jr. Now, Marvin Jones Jr. is a wide receiver for the Detroit Lions and is a part of one of the most underrated wide receiver duos in the NFL, in my opinion, and that's led by none other than Kenny Golladay. So it came out yesterday that multiple teams were interested in one Marvin Jones Jr., and among that list was our good old Washington football team. Now, can I say that we're supposed to be in a hunt for wide receiver, but can I say that I'm surprised? No, because if you guys go back to my list, when I said top receivers that we should trade for at the deadline, Marvin Jones Jr. was happily on that list. I said in that video I would prefer Kenny Golladay, but Marvin Jones Jr. is the likely of the two to get traded, because Kenny Golladay is probably the most underrated. Outside of Terry McLaurin, he's probably the second most underrated receiver in all of football, in my opinion, just because he plays for Detroit. And I feel as though if you break up that two, I would prefer Kenny Golladay. I'm not going to lie. But Marvin Jones is not too shabby himself. You know, remember his days back in Cincinnati, and he really took off when he was in Cincinnati, and then he, came to Detroit, and he, continued to stack up. Now, the thing with Marvin Jones Jr. is that he's 30 years old, and he somewhat doesn't fit our timeline, especially with us having a guy by the name of Dontrell Emmett, who isn't the best, but he's a nice number two, and he's really been, coming along since we got him on a one-year deal. So we don't really need a Marvin Jones, but it doesn't hurt. You know what I'm saying? At the same time, this is why I want a Will Fuller, because he's 26. He kind of fits our time frame. You know what I'm saying? If Marvin Jones was like at least 28, 27, then I'll be more enthusiastic about this move. But since he's 30, he's kind of getting up there in age, we don't really need him. But would I be surprised, or what would I give up to land Marvin Jones? Maybe a 4th round pick, maybe at the most a 4th round pick for Marvin Jones Jr. And I'll gladly take him. You know what I'm saying? Although, like I keep saying, I want Kenny Golladay. I doubt it's gonna happen. I mean, we're gonna have to give up probably a 2nd round pick, probably a 2nd and a 3rd. That's fine with me, but that's probably what we're gonna have to give up. And are we in that room to where we can give up something like that? Yeah, but do we really want to? I don't know, because the wide receiver class, it's always a sneaky few that you can get in the 2nd, 3rd round. So maybe you don't want to give up those kind of picks. But at the same time, we have 2 3rd and 2 4th round picks. So giving up 2 4 or giving up a 3rd round pick wouldn't be as bad as if us not having one. So that could really come into handy. And like I said, Marvin Jones Jr. is not too shabby. It's just that he's 30 years old and he's getting up there in age, and he really doesn't fit our timeline. But like I said, it's just rumors. So if you asked me, would I trade for Marvin Jones Jr.? Yes, but no at the same time. Yes, if we didn't have Dontrell Emmett. But no, because we already have Emmett. And he's already 30 plus years old on that kind of age group. So we don't really need him. But it wouldn't hurt. So if we were to trade for Marvin Jones Jr., I wouldn't be mad. I'll be happy, because, like I said, he's a part of one of the most underrated wide receiver duos in all of football. But do we need him? No. But at the same time, yes, we do need a receiver. Don't get it twisted. We still need a receiver, because, quite frankly, we haven't been healthy at the receiver position since Kelvin Harmon. Kelvin Harmon went down before the season started. You remember Gandy Golden had the COVID. I know that's not an injury or anything, but I'm just saying he had the COVID. Then season goes on. Steven Sims goes to IR. And Gandy Golden goes to IR. Isaiah Wright goes to. I think he's on IR too. I could be mistaken. I don't think he's on IR, but I think he is. I'm not sure at the moment. That's why we had to get Robert Foster. We activated Badette to the active roster. So we do need some wide receiver help. Inman had a wrist injury. Terry McLaurin hasn't been healthy all game. He's still been playing, but he hasn't been 100%. He said it himself. So we need receiver help. But if we are going to go get a receiver, in my opinion, why not make a big splash, baby? Why not go after a Will Fuller? Why not go after a John Ross? You know what I'm saying? D.D. Westbrook, maybe. DJ Chark. You know what I'm saying? Why not go after them? Now, Michael Thomas and Julio Jones, I'm cool off of. Because we're going to pay Michael Thomas all that money and give up all that draft capital just for him to run slants. I'm good, bro. He can stay in New Orleans. And I don't, quite frankly, honestly, I don't think they're going to trade him anyway. I think it's just smoke screen. It's that time of season. You know what I'm saying? It's that time of season. So, Marvin Jones, man, I would take it. I would at least look up into what they want. But if they're like Dwayne for Marvin Jones, I would do it. Just straight up, Dwayne Russ for Marvin Jones, I would do it. Why? We can get Dwayne off the books finally, and we can have a nice wide receiver asset. But also, I can see why people don't want to do that, because I'm more of a fan of sending him to the Steelers or Atlanta. But if they were to hit out line and say Dwayne and maybe a pick for Marvin Jones, or no, Dwayne for Marvin Jones and a pick, I would do it. What about you guys? Would you guys do that? Or do you think that's not a fair deal? I would do it. Maybe Dwayne in the third. I would do it. I would take it. Dwayne in the third round pick for Marvin Jones. Or not the other way around, I meant to say Marvin Jones for Dwayne in the third round pick. I would do it. That's another third round pick to add to us. So that's 3 third round picks. But in all seriousness, if we're going to make a splash at receiver, which it seems like we're trying to do, why not go after Will Fuller? Why not go after DJ Chark? Why not go after D.D. Westbrook? Why not go after John Ross? John Ross already don't want to be there. So we might as well go with the big splash. Not saying Marvin Jones isn't a big splash. He's just 30 years old. He doesn't fit the time frame. And if we didn't have Dontrell Inman, I would say go get him for sure. But since we already have Inman, we don't necessarily need a Marvin Jones. But it wouldn't hurt. Screw it, man. Go trade for his partner in crime and Kenny Galladay. Now Marvin Jones is not, I wouldn't say unhappy, but he hasn't really been getting he hasn't been off to the best start of the 2020 campaign, and that's the reason why they're looking to move him, and I'm pretty sure that's the reason why we're interested. So keep your eyes open for that, guys. We're rumored to be interested in Marvin Jones Jr. Just remember though, it's a rumor. It's that time of season. Although when rumors typically spurt in the NFL or go around the NFL, it's typically true or has some truth to it. So maybe we are interested. But as of right now, it's just a rumor. But as always, it's main boy Juan Gotti. Like, comment, subscribe, to watch the football team. Like, comment, subscribe, baby. Come on. We almost at 2.2K. Let's get there, baby. Let me know how y'all feel about Marvin Jones. Do you want him? Or do you don't? Or what would you give up for him, actually? Because it's a trade deadline. So what would you give up to him? Trade deadline slowly approaching, man, and I hope he makes some moves. November 3rd, it's a very important day. Not only for the NFL, but for the country in a whole. November 3rd. Like, comment, subscribe, to watch the football team. I'm out. Peace.